Hey everyone, welcome back to the deep dive. Today we're diving into something, it's kind of all around us, but maybe we don't think about it every day.
Yeah, you're right. We're talking about the digital divide.
Right, the digital divide. It's about like who has access to tech and the internet and who doesn't and why that matters. In today's world, it's a pretty big deal.
Huge, yeah.
So to help us wrap our heads around this whole thing, we've been checking out this YouTube video.
It's called AEP CSP 521 Digital Divide. It's from a channel called Code Curious, and it features this guy, Jason Hahn.
Yeah, he seems to know his stuff.
Definitely. He breaks things down in a way that makes it, really understandable.
Exactly. So in this deep dive, we're basically going to, pull out the main points from the video.
Yeah, the core reasons behind this digital divide, as Jason Hahn puts it.
And then we're going to, try to really grasp what it means for us, for society, for everyone.
The implications, for sure.
All right, so let's jump in. So the video starts by defining the digital divide, right? And it basically boils down to this.
Yeah.
Unequal access to computing devices and the internet.
Yeah, but it's not just random, It's not like some people just, decided they don't want a computer.
Yeah, it's often tied to, where you live, how much money you make, even your age, right?
Absolutely. Jason Hahn talks about socioeconomic status as a major factor.
Like how much money your family has.
Yeah. He points out that your household income, it really directly affects your digital life.
It's kind of wild when you think about it.
Yeah. And it's not just about, being able to buy a fancy new phone or whatever.
Right.
It's about things like, can you even afford a monthly internet bill? That's a huge factor.
And then, are you stuck with older tech?
Exactly. Maybe you have an old computer that can't even run the latest software,
And that can put you at a disadvantage in so many ways.
Yeah. In education, in finding jobs, in just staying connected.
It's a really important point.
Yeah. And then he moves on to geographic disparities.
Okay, so where you live plays a role too.
Big time. He mentions these trips he takes to Vermont for snowboarding.
Okay.
And he talks about how he'll suddenly hit these dead zones,
Like where your phone just stops working.
Exactly. No cell service,
Yeah.
GPS goes haywire, the whole 9 yards.
I've totally been there. It's so frustrating.
Yeah, and it really drives home the point that, where you live, particularly how many people live near you, it directly affects the infrastructure for internet access.
Like those internet companies, the ISPs, they're not going to lay down those high-speed cables if there aren't enough people to, make it worth their while.
Right, and if you live in a rural area, well, you might be out of luck.
So you might be stuck with slower internet or even no internet at all.
And that can have a real impact on your life, Think about online education, telehealth appointments, even just keeping in touch with family and friends.
Yeah, it's more than just an inconvenience.
Absolutely. Then the video gets into some really interesting demographic influences.
Okay, like what?
Well, age for one.
Age, how so?
Jason Hahn points out that people who didn't grow up with computers and the internet, they might be less comfortable with technology.
Oh yeah, totally. They might not see the same benefits that we do.
Exactly. It's not a deliberate choice necessarily, but it's just a different life experience shaping your relationship with technology.
Makes sense. My grandparents, for instance, were super sharp people, but they never really embraced the internet the way my generation has. It wasn't that they couldn't, they just didn't really see the need for it.
Right. And then he talks about religion, too. Specifically, he brings up the Amish community in Pennsylvania.
Oh, interesting.
And this is a really powerful example of a community making a conscious decision about technology.
They choose not to use it.
Right. Because of their religious beliefs, they choose to not use things like cars, computers, the internet. It's part of their way of life.
Wow. So their relationship with technology is completely different.
Yeah. And the video makes a really important point here. It's not saying that the Amish are better or worse because of this.
Okay.
It's just a different way of living rooted in their beliefs.
I see. So it's about respecting those differences.
Exactly. And it highlights that embracing every new piece of tech isn't a requirement for everyone.
That's a good point.
Okay, then the video zooms out a bit and talks about international variations in the digital divide.
Okay, so it's not just an American problem.
Oh, definitely not. It's a global issue.
And are the causes similar in other countries?
Some are, yeah. He talks about how, like, in some countries, fewer people own computers in rural areas, which,
Bro.
Echoes the geographic disparities we've already talked about.
Right.
But then he gets into governmental control, and that's a whole other ballgame.
Like governments actually limiting internet access.
Exactly. He describes countries where you can only visit a handful of websites, and the internet is mainly used for, like, spreading government propaganda and stuff.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah, and he doesn't shy away from the surveillance aspect either.
Surveillance.
Yeah, like in some of these countries, your emails and texts are probably being monitored by the government.
That's pretty intense.
Yeah. So it's not just about having access, it's about the quality of that access and the freedoms that come with it.
Right.
And the video stresses that this lack of digital freedom is something many of us take for granted.
I never really thought about it that way.
Yeah, it's easy to just assume everyone has the same level of access and freedom online.
Totally.
But that's not the reality for a lot of people around the world.
Okay, so we've talked about the different factors that contribute to the digital divide, but what's like the overall impact?
Well, the video talks about how it affects both individuals and communities.
Okay.
It creates issues around fairness, access to opportunities, and influence,
Like, if you can't access information easily or you don't have the skills to use technology effectively, it puts you at a disadvantage.
Right. And it affects things like education, employment, even political participation.
Yeah, you're kind of left behind in a lot of ways.
And the video points out that there are, like, these key players that influence the digital divide.
Like who?
Individuals, organizations, and governments.
So we all have a role to play.
Yeah, in either widening or narrowing this gap.
Okay, that makes sense. Now, the video also included this sample question from the AP Computer Science Principles exam.
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
It asks, which of the following school policies is most likely to have a positive impact on the digital divide?
And we don't have the multiple choice options here, but the video does give us the correct answer.
Right, so what is it?
A school providing laptops or tablets to all of its students.
So it's about ensuring every student has access to a device.
Exactly, because if you don't have a computer at home, having one at school can make a huge difference.
Makes sense. It kind of levels the playing field a bit.
Right. And this brings us to one of the core messages of the video.
Okay, what's that?
It's not about being on one side or the other of the digital divide that's inherently good or bad.
So it's not like technology is bad or technology is the solution to everything.
Right. The real issue is fairness.
Fairness, how so?
Like making sure that everyone has a reasonable opportunity to benefit from what the internet and technology have to offer.
Okay.
And he uses the Amish community as an example again. Like, their choice is respected, but the digital divide shouldn't prevent others from accessing the benefits of technology if they want to.
So it's about choice and opportunity.
Exactly.
Okay, so before we wrap up, let's just do a quick recap of like the main things that contribute to the digital divide.
Yeah, good idea.
We've got socioeconomic status, which affects whether you can afford devices and internet service.
Right.
And then there's geographic location, which impacts, whether the internet companies even bother to set up infrastructure in your area.
Yeah.
Then we got demographics, like age and religion, which can influence how comfortable people are with technology.
And lastly, we have the role of governments in different countries, which can really restrict access and freedoms online.
Right. So all of these things together create this digital divide, with some people having way more access and opportunities than others.
It's a complex issue for sure.
Yeah. But hopefully this deep dive has shed some light on it for you.
And I think the video ends on a really thought-provoking note.
Yeah, what's that?
Well, it goes back to the Amish community.
Okay.
And it asks this question. How do these different levels of technological engagement, how do they impact not just individuals, but entire societies? Like, what does progress really mean in a world that's so focused on digital connection?
It's a really good question. Is more technology always better?
Yeah, and how do we balance the benefits of technology with the value of different ways of life?
Something to think about, that's for sure.
Definitely. So that's the digital divide in a nutshell.
Yeah, we covered a lot today. Hopefully you found this deep dive insightful and maybe even a little bit challenging.
It's a big topic, and there's always more to explore.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.
See